everybody. This is Dr. Jenny Sechler. I just want to tell you welcome. So today, what we're going to talk about is stress. We're living in stressful times right now. Our minds and our bodies, we tend to get overloaded, and they can produce some negative consequences. Things like insomnia, poor immune system, anxiety. There's a few ways that stress can affect us. So overall, it can impact us from a physical standpoint. It can block us from healing. It can affect our relationships. It can affect us in so many different ways. You know, we can't avoid stress. It's always going to be a part of our life in some shape or form. But what we do have a choice for is how we respond. So today, this is my goal, is to give you some tools to empower you. You can pull your tools out whenever you need them so you can start responding to stress versus reacting. All right, there's a picture of my beautiful dogs. We're on a nice hike in the woods when I lived in the Midwest. And that's one of the ways that I find I relieve stress well, is to connect with nature. All right, so what I want to talk about first is I have a little chart here to share with you to help us to see how we take in stress to our bodies. So it's the mental and emotional stress response chart. So when a stressful event happens, our minds perceive it in one way or another. We can see it as positive. We can see it as negative. It's like two people. They experience the same event, but yet they perceive it differently. And one easy example is, let's say there's going to be a parade and someone's going to be in the parade and it's raining. They're going to perceive that as a very negative event. The next person is a farmer and they're waiting for their crops to grow. They're going to see the rain as a wonderful thing. So just remember that we all look at things a little bit different, and how we perceive it is how we take it in and internalize that event. So once we perceive it, then it comes into our minds. And we have a mental, and we have an emotional response. So the person that took it in negatively, those negative thoughts actually produce electrical charges in the heart and the nervous system. It goes to your immune system. It creates hormones. It affects the way you digest your food, how you sleep. It can promote anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so it either produces normal or abnormal physiological changes. Now, the person that perceived it as a positive event, their bodies are going to respond differently. They're still going to have a charge to their heart and their nervous system, but it's not going to challenge them. It's actually going to be somewhat of a soothing response. Their immune system actually is going to be stronger. Their hormones are going to become more balanced. They might digest their food better. They might sleep better. They might just have a sense of peace. So again, it's a very different perspective. It all depends on how we perceive that event. So again, that event becomes down to how do we react to that stress. We all do different things. So sometimes we eat. I can be a stress eater, and I like sugar. So it's a challenge for me when I have stress to be very aware and realize, Jenny, don't eat that piece of chocolate. A lot of times we don't digest our food well. We don't assimilate. It affects how we eliminate. Sometimes people get constipated. Stress can promote constipation. The activities that we do or we don't do, maybe we don't exercise because we feel stressed. Maybe we kind of seclude ourselves or isolate ourselves because we feel stress. How we breathe is a big one. We're going to talk about that today. Most of the time, stress decreases how well we breathe. It's what we think. The thoughts that go through our head, they start to become more rapid, and they start also become somewhat negative. And also what we inherit. We mean by that, sometimes if we have a lot of stress that puts off negativity, we also unfortunately will attract some negativity. If we're putting off positive things, then we tend to attract more positivity. So just for a couple of minutes, I just want to go over the stress response on a physical level. There's a couple of science people out there probably that like to hear a little bit about science and what's actually happening in the body. So there's two major systems when we have a stress response, and they're called catecholamines. It's called epinephrine and norepinephrine. So basically, it's preparing us to act, right? So when a bear is going to chase us, we want to have all that amazing energy to get away from the bear, right? It's like you read those stories about some of the people that have done amazing feats because of their catecholamines. Like you've seen people lift cars up, and like, how in the heck did they do that? Well, that's all part of this system. That stress is so powerful, it can do amazing things for the body. But when those chemicals hang around for a long period of time, they can have a very negative effect on our bodies. Now, I'm not going to go into all the specifics. I think that's not really the topic of our talk today, but just know it can affect, like we just mentioned, affect your immune system. It can decrease the way you digest your food. It can affect your hormones, all in a very negative way. The second part of the stress response is cortisol. Now, when you look at hormones, cortisol is the most powerful hormone in the entire body. And it's part of that helping you to lift that car or run from that bear. But again, it can also hinder and interrupt all your other hormones. But one of its major issues, it helps you to mobilize energy, right, for glucose, primarily really to fuel that action. But if we have the cortisol that's always running, then we tend to have, and I'm going to put a blanket statement on this for a minute, but we tend to have then some blood sugar issues. So people who have a lot of adrenal issues tend to have a hard time with their blood sugar. Guys, if you have any questions while I'm talking, please feel free to put a question in the chat box. I'm going to have a question and answer at the end, but if you have something that you want to ask now, please feel free to do it in the chat box, and I'm happy to do it now. My goal really here is not to talk at you. I really want to make this a conversation, so I really do welcome questions. Okay, so that was the physical part of really stress. Let's talk a little bit about the emotional part of stress. Are you aware that we have over 60,000 thoughts a day? And the majority of them, unfortunately, are negative. So the first thing that I learned when I became aware of this, I was somewhat alarmed. I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what's going through my head every day? So the first action step is to become an observer to your thoughts. So spend a day and you are a little observer to everything that's going on in your head. Be aware of them and don't engage in the negativity, and just choose to be in the present moment. So we have all of these thoughts. And I have to admit, when I first started doing this, I got rather alarmed because there were a lot of negative thoughts. So now I don't give them power, but I'm aware of them. And sometimes I try to reframe them. So I'll kind of, oh my gosh, I'm thinking that thought about that person. I'm thinking about that, about the event I'm stressed out about. And I acknowledge it. It's not about ignoring it, but it's also choosing to bring yourself back to the present moment and express gratitude for just one thing. What am I really grateful for right now, today? Or simply direct your thoughts and think something positive, or say, people like affirmations. So some people will say, I have an affirmation I love. So they will say that. A lot of other people like to say, think of, oh, I'm so grateful for my husband. I'm so grateful for my dog. That just takes you out of that unconscious thought process and puts you into the present moment. A very, very powerful tool, because all of these thoughts, they're producing chemicals, and all those chemicals are affecting everything in your body. Okay, so the first code we're going to come up to is our thought code. So this is called the discontinuity code. It's basically taking you out of that negative self-freeing yourself into the present moment. Now I'm going to read the code for you. So I'm going to give everyone just a few seconds. If you don't have paper and a pencil, just grab that and I will read each of these codes I'm going to give you today. I'll go through it twice. So I'll give everybody just a couple of seconds, just in case you don't have paper and pencil. And again, I will go through it twice. Okay, here we go. This is called the thought code. So it's SH, LF, G50, IF, SH, LF, G50, SH, G50, SH, IF, G50, chin, EB, SH, IF, OE, AC. And again, you can do that. You can read it several times throughout the day, or just once a day, or before you go to bed at night. I'll read it one more time for everyone. It's SH, LF, G50, IF, SH, LF, G50, SH, G50, SH, IF, G50, chin, EB, SH, IF, OE, AC, 9G. Okay, so I'm going to stop for a second because we have a question. I'm going to read the question. The question is, do our beliefs determine how we view an event? And if so, how to change these beliefs, especially if they're on a subconscious level? Well, we could do a whole webinar on that. That's an outstanding question. And maybe that might be an idea for a future webinar, but our beliefs definitely determine how we view an event. You know, one of the interesting things I did early on when I started getting some of this work was I sat down and someone asked me, okay, write down what your beliefs are about all of these things, about the world, about God, about your family, about your job. And if you're really honest with yourself, it was somewhat alarming. I had a lot of negative beliefs. So to work on those beliefs takes time because you're actually changing the neurons in your brain. It's called the neuroplasticity. Many of you already might know that or have had that scan done. It's a very, very powerful tool, and that's helping us to change our beliefs. So great question. Okay, let's move on to breathing. I think breathing is one of these critical elements that doesn't get enough attention. We don't think about how we breathe. If you notice kids are belly breathers, right? They're great breathers. But at some point, when we grow up, we become more chest breathers. And it's not as healthy for us. So I don't know whether as girls, we want to keep our stomachs in. We don't want to look like, you know, we've got a belly. I'm not quite sure really all the reasons that we switch to become chest breathers over belly breathers, but it's not as healthy for us. And a couple of things that you can do, I've had people before, okay, let's everyone take some short, rapid breaths. If you do it for like 15 seconds, and then tell each other how you feel. And that produces a sense of anxiety. It's not a good feeling. And I often have asked my clients, like every hour, I want you to stop what you're doing and check in and ask themselves, how am I breathing right now? And the majority of people aren't breathing, myself included. So it takes a lot of practice. So this is one technique that I want to share that people have found very helpful. So it's called the 4-7-8 technique. So we can all do it together if you're interested. So basically take a breath and just empty your lungs of air. Now breathing quietly through the nose and breathe in over 4 seconds. And then hold that breath in for a count of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now exhale through your mouth, pursing your lips, and just make a little whoosh sound and do it for 8 seconds. We're going to do it one more time now that everyone kind of has an idea of what this really is. So let's empty the lungs of air. Breathe in through the nose over 4 seconds. Now hold your breath there for a count of 7. And then slowly start to exhale through your mouth, kind of pursing your lips and making a whoosh sound over 8 seconds. To me, I found that very relaxing. It kind of takes you out of whatever breathing or lack of poor breathing that you were doing. It makes you feel better. Typically, you can recycle that pattern about 4 times, and you will just feel different. You'll just, oh, I just feel so much more calm. Obviously, you can do it anywhere, anytime. No one's really going to notice that you're doing this breathing technique. Now, the total number of seconds the pattern lasts really is less important than keeping the ratio. So a person who cannot hold their breath for very long, they can try a shorter pattern, like breathe in the nose for 2 seconds, and then hold for about 3, and then breathe out of the mouth through 4 seconds. So as long as you maintain the correct ratio, then you'll likely notice the benefits. And typically it'll take maybe a few days or a week of doing this consistently 1 or 2 times a day, and it will just give you a better sense of overall well-being. All right, the second exercise is just deep breathing. So again, a lot of times when we're stressed, we all get busy, and I think that we forget to breathe. We all become a little shallow, we become chest breathers. So never underestimate really the power of breathing. So just for deep breathing, you just breathe in through your nose and let your belly fill out with air. So I like to tell people to put your hand on your belly. So you take a breath in and let that belly come out. And then breathe out slowly through your nose. And you'll feel your belly go back down. So if you do it again, keep your hand on your belly. Again, people don't need to know what you're doing. You might just be resting your hands on your belly. If you're out somewhere you just feel stressed, I'm going to do my deep breathing exercises. So just take a breath in through your nose and feel your belly kind of filling up. And then breathe out, and breathe out slowly. You do that 3 more times, and you likely will feel just an increased sense of relaxation. Now, if you're in a public place, you don't have to put your hand on your belly, obviously, but you can. So again, don't underestimate the power of breathing. It doesn't cost us anything. We can do it anywhere and anytime. So I'm going to recommend to everybody, check in with yourself every couple hours and ask yourself and see, how am I breathing right now? And I bet if you incorporate 1 or both of these breathing exercises, that you'll realize it will become a pattern for you. And it'll help you deal with your stress better. And just remember, by doing these breathing exercises, you're relaxing your sympathetic nervous system. Okay, and you're supporting your parasympathetic nervous system. And that's what helps you to remain in a relaxed state. Okay, so I'm going to give you a breathing code. Now I'm going to mention a couple other things. If you find that your breathing feels very constricted, it feels very tight, other things you can do, and these are in our Healing Solutions manual, is the histamine code. That can often be an issue with breathing. A virus, sometimes that's also part of a breathing problem. Sometimes emotional aspects, anxiety, panic, PTSD, asthma, shallow breathing. All of these issues can be part of that, and you can find some of those codes already in the Healing Solutions manual on the website. So I'm going to read the code again, and again, I'll read through this twice for you so you can get this down. All right, here's the code for the breathing. It's SHEB IF G50 IF G50 SH G50 SH EB E G50 SH IF E MF LF liver G50 SH E G50 SH G50 SH EB E G50 SH IF OE A C 9G UN SH UN chakra pattern 1 times 2. You can do it 4 times and do it 2 times a day. I'm going to read it one more time. It's SHEB IF G50 IF G50 SH G50 SH EB E G50 SH IF E MF LF liver G50 SH, E, G50, SH, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, OE, A, C, 9G, UN, SH, UN, chakra pattern 1 times 2. Okay, let's move on to the next. The next thing that can really help with stress is grounding or earthing. And I know people sometimes call these the same things and sometimes they think they're different. So I'm not going to get into a debate with how people define this, but just know that really grounding and earthing, it helps us to connect to Mother Earth and really receive the healing benefits that lie within it. It also improves blood flow. It can restore your body's natural state. It helps to balance your mind, become anxiety, and promote peace. And also improves inflammation and immunity. Forgive my spelling error. I've often found people have told me that after they ground, that they sleep better. So it has a lot of great tools. It's one of the simplest things that we can do. You go outside, you take your shoes and your socks off, and you just stand there and you feel that grass, the dirt. Take a couple deep breaths and you just stand there for a couple of minutes. It really is an amazing experience. You know, it really gives us another tool to leave the busy mind, the chaos, and connect to nature and feel this amazing balance and energy that supports us to really grow and create and live fully. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is spend time in nature, taking a walk with my dogs, kind of shutting down my mind, listening to the birds and the sounds. That I just find it very peaceful and calming. But sometimes when I get home, I'll realize that I didn't hear a single bird or sound because I was so busy thinking about something I had to do, etc. And I knew then that I really wasn't actually present or very grounded. So just know that this really can be very powerful. Unfortunately, when I lived in the Midwest, I know some people live across the country, it sounds a little bit crazy, you know, to go outside and earth when it's 20 degrees outside. So I know they make some grounding mats. I know people travel with them. You know, they're busy, they're in meetings, they're in hotels, they really don't get a chance to get outside. Thank you. One person just said she's barefoot outside right now listening to this. Good for you. So they travel with these mats for work. They put in their suitcase. When they get to their hotel rooms, they take it out and they just stand on it. And they say it's amazing how it kind of, you know, takes you out of all that chaos and busyness and really helps to reground you. So never underestimate, you know, it seems like a simple thing, but it can be so powerful. All right, and the code for this is the profound love code. If everybody's ready, I will read the profound love code and I will go through it twice again. And again, this just kind of helps us to connect to nature and kind of get out of the chaos of the world around us and really ground. So it's EB, MF, SH, IF, EB, E, IF, E, OE, AC, 9G, CH, EB, LF, SH, LF, IF, EB, E, liver, IF, E, MF, E, OE, AC, 9G, UN, G50, EB, SH, EB, SH, IF, E, LF, E, OE, AC, 9G, and chakra pattern 2 times 2. I'll read it one more time. EB, MF, SH, IF, EB, E, IF, E, OE, AC, 9G, CH, EB, LF, SH, LF, IF, EB, E, liver, IF, E, MF, E, OE, AC, 9G, UN, G50, EB, SH, EB, SH, IF, E, LF, E, OE, AC, 9G, and chakra pattern 2 times 2. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve has been called the wandering nerve. Think about it, it's like a big nerve that travels from your brain and it goes all the way down into the abdomen. It's really the star component of the parasympathetic nervous system. It regulates our sleep, our rest, and our responses that help us to keep us out of fight or flight. It's not something that you can see. A lot of times it's never even mentioned. I know we at Healing Solutions, it's a big part of what we do is testing the vagus nerve, as it has so many components. It connects to so many different parts of our mind and our body. So I want to give you some ways to support it. I know one big thing that I know I see in my clinic is particularly with people who have immune system issues. They typically have weak vagus nerves. So stimulating it and supporting it can actually help your immune system, amongst other things. So some of the easy ways to share to support your vagus nerve is humming. You just walk around your house or in your car humming or singing. Other people, it's a little more dramatic, but you wash your face, you splash your face with very cold water. That can be stimulating. You just take some slow, deep breaths from your diaphragm. That can stimulate the vagus nerve. One of the other ones that I learned from, he was a chiropractor. Now, he got rather, this to me is rather intense. But what he would do is he would tell his clients, you get some water every day and you gargle so hard that you make your eyes water. Now that was a little bit intense for me. So some people wanted to try it, some people didn't, but his theory was that you really needed to get that vagus nerve stimulated, and the way to do that was to make your eyes water. So if you're up for that, you try it. But I'm a little more of a calmer, I'm a little more of a hummer. So I support my vagus nerve that way. So really by tapping into the power of the vagus nerve, you can support and enhance your inner calm and also really tame the inflammatory response for any kind of immune issues. But again, I think for the purposes of today, we're really talking about how we can help you to recover and keep us out of the fight or flight response. All right, so sometimes that vagus nerve can get stuck. They can kind of get stuck in fight or flight. So the key is to really keep it in autonomic balance. You know, it can be overstimulated or impinged, resulting in various symptoms like nausea, diarrhea, dizziness, and even dehydration. Understimulated, not really as extreme as symptoms, but again, autoimmunity. People tend to have a weak vagus nerve. And then stress obviously can decrease it. So it decreases the functionality and its connections to help the rest of our body systems. So our goal is to really have a strong, connected, and have autonomic balance for our vagus nerve. So if you know how to test yourself, you can test the strength of your vagus nerve. Or I'm just going to give you a code, and that will actually help you to reset and make sure your vagus nerve is an autonomic response. So I'm going to give you one more code. Now the way to do this, to test this, if you are a tester, touch the vagus nerve points in the back of your head and then sweep from the belt line down to the end of the spine. And that will be a good test for this. So here's the code. It's EB, IF, SH, G50, SH, G50, SH, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, G50, SH, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, OE, A, C, 9G, UN, SH, UN, chin. Whoops, I'm sorry, chakra pattern 2 times 2. You do it 3 times a day as needed. We do it one more time. It's EB, IF, SH, G50, SH, G50, SH, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, G50, SH, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, OE, AC, 9G, UN, SH, UN, cycle pattern 2 times 2, and read it 3 times a day as needed. Okay, so I have a quick question. Testing again for the vagus. You just touch on the back of your head and sweep from your belt line down to the end of the spine. All right, so let's move on. The last section we're going to talk about is gratitude. You know, gratitude is a very powerful thing to do. And unfortunately, our subconscious minds or even our conscious mind sometimes gets into such a big state of negativity that gratitude can be so powerful. It really can improve our physical health. It can open the door to better relationships. It improves our physiological health. It enhances empathy and reduces aggression. And honestly, grateful people just sleep better. Because remember I mentioned earlier, those thoughts we have, they produce chemicals. So the concept of gratitude produces chemicals that actually help us to be better. There's a study that I found, it was about the 7 scientifically proven benefits of gratitude. And then we talk about relationships, but people who just say thank you more. You know, you're out in the community, even someone who opens a door for you, saying thank you. You know, that is a sign of great gratitude. Those little things really can make a big difference. There was a study in a 2014 study actually published in it's called Emotion. And the study found that thanking a new acquaintance makes them more likely to seek an ongoing relationship. So again, whether you hold the door open for a stranger, you send a thank you note to a colleague, you know, helped you with a project. Those little things can make such a big difference in all of our lives. You know, another thing they found was about physical health. You know, grateful people, they found tend to have fewer aches and pains. They report feeling healthier than other people. And not surprisingly, they're also more likely to take care of themselves. It does improve our psychological health. It really can reduce a multitude of those toxic emotions. You know, we all have them. Again, we shouldn't be ignoring our emotions. We need to deal with them. But if we find ourselves in these constant patterns, then switching from those emotions, okay, and then go into gratitude, it can really be amazing for your sense of well-being. They also found that gratitude can enhance empathy. You know, actually reduces aggression. So they found in a 2012 study in the University of Kentucky that people who were grateful were more likely to act in a professional manner. They actually ranked higher on gratitude scales. They were likely to have more success in their jobs. They had better relationships. And they were also less likely to retaliate against others, even when given negative feedback. Sometimes it's hard to get constructive criticism. Sometimes we don't always communicate ourselves very well, and it puts us on the defensive. What they found with people who are more grateful, they experienced more sensitivity and empathy. They had a decreased desire to seek revenge. And they also found, lastly, that they sleep better. So they even said just spending 10 minutes a day, jotting down a few grateful things before bed, that it actually did enhance your sleep. I know sometimes when I have a bad day, what I call a bad day, I'm stressed and there's so much going on. I'm laying in bed thinking about all of this stuff. I say, Jenny, this is ridiculous. Let's just stop for a second. And I think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it can be my 2 dogs sleeping with me on my bed. That's amazing. Animals have such an amazing power of love. But just something simple like that can be really strong. So, you know, we can't change some of the things that go on in our life, but we can really realize that gratitude really does foster resilience. It fosters grace. And really, if you're grateful, you will attract more grateful people into your life. So the gratitude code, I know it's really long. That's just kind of what it ended up to be. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it one time for everybody. So here we go. This is the gratitude code. It's E, EB, G50, SH, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, G50, SH, E, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, G50, SH, E, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, G50, SH, E, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, liver, G50, SH, E, G50, SH, IF, LF, E, MF, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, LF, E, MF, G50, SH, E, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, G50, SH, E, G50, SH, IF, E, MF, LF, G50, SH, EB, E, G50, SH, IF, OE, A, C, 9G, UN, SH, UN, chakra pattern 2 times 2. Okay, so I think just to close out before we take questions, just beware of your thoughts. When you catch yourself being negative or fearful or anxious, speak 3 things that you're really grateful for. Don't ignore the issue. If you need to address it, it needs to be addressed. Write down in a gratitude journal every day, a couple of things you're grateful for. Do it before you go to bed. It's extremely powerful. Don't forget to breathe. Breathing can be, I think it's a very underestimated and kind of forgotten art. I think breathing really is an art. So remember to breathe. The vagus nerve is not something that we can see, so I think we can kind of forget about it, but you can have your practitioner. If you work with somebody at Healing Solutions, you can have them check your vagus nerve. And the thought code. Again, just to be aware of your thoughts, and you can use the thought code. Now, if you have a problem, you don't feel like you're really getting anywhere, these codes just don't seem to be helping you, I would encourage you to call one of the practitioners at Healing Solutions and see if there's likely maybe something else going on physically or emotionally that might be, you need some more support on. All right, so does anybody have any questions? You can just type them into the chat if you have any more questions. So thank you again for the 2 questions I had earlier. I really appreciate that. Nobody has any more questions. I hope this was helpful. I think what I'm going to ask you to do then is share this with a friend. Share it with a family member, a coworker that you think might benefit, that might do any of these things. And next thing I'm going to ask you for a favor. If you have any interest in any topics that you would like to hear from, it could be a illness, a symptom, just something that you like to learn more about, is please email me, Jenny@besthealingsolutions.com. And I'm creating some new webinars right now. I think the next one, like next upcoming webinar, I'm looking at July, and it's going to be on the oral microbiome. Okay, Kelani, thank you. Looks like I need to get back to the vagus nerve. Carol Lee, are you still on here? Could you type how you test the vagus nerve? What I had was you sweep down your head and then you sweep down your spine to your belt line. if that makes sense. The other question, okay, yeah, I hope I answered that question about how you can share this. This should be recorded. So you should be able to go to our store on the Healing Solutions website, and it should be there likely today. And then you can share it with anybody. Okay, are there any more questions? I'm not getting any more questions. Oh, okay. I understand. Yeah, some of these things, if you're not familiar with the training, it can be a little confusing. So I would suggest if you want to try out a session with one of the practitioners, they can walk you, they're all outstanding. They can walk you through some of these simple ways that you can test this. As far as supplements, oh, I apologize. It's not going to be on the store. It's going to be on the events page on our Healing Solutions website. Thank you, Tim. I apologize for that. So you'll find this recording. It's going to be on the events page on our Healing Solutions website. As far as supplements, great question. I do like Tim, it looks like, okay, we'll be on the events page, not the store, the resources page. I apologize, everyone. The resources page, that's where you'll be able to find this. If you have a hard time finding it, you can call us at Healing Solutions, or when you're on our website, if you have a hard time, just contact us and we can redirect you there. So I'm going to get back to the question then about supplements. I think supplements are very important. I think sometimes we overutilize supplements. It's just like a medication. Everything we put in our body has a consequence. You know, I don't want to go off too much on supplements, but sometimes I think we get a little carried away with them. They have a very important purpose. As far as supplements go, for what the topic that we're talking about is, I don't know of any supplements as far as the vagus nerve, breathing, etc. Neurotransmitter work, I know we do some of that, the Healing Solutions. So there are different supplements that can help you with your neurotransmitters, but that really has to be tested out individually. It's a little more personalized than just recommending a general supplement. Other supplements for stress, that usually can be done through testing, and that's usually to support cortisol, epinephrine, that's commonly found in the adrenal glands. So there are some good, just general support for adrenal glands. But again, sometimes I find your cortisol can be high, it can be low, or you can be mixed. There's a 24-hour lab test that I like to do that looks at what is your cortisol doing on the inside of your body over 24 hours. And that's a really good clue as to how your body's handling stress. And then I use that, or you can even test it. You know, one of our practitioners can use that and test that cycle to see whether you might benefit from licorice. Sometimes when it's low, I think licorice works really well in the mornings. I wouldn't take it later in the day because it can keep people up at night. Or sometimes even just some ashwagandha. That can be a good general, I want to say tonic, really, for the adrenal glands. Sometimes vitamin C, that's one of a lot of practitioners' favorites for the adrenal glands, is vitamin C. There's some general nutrients, trace minerals. Those can be very supportive to the body. Thank you for those questions. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so we're gonna close it down. I wanna say thank you so much. This was my first webinar, so I really appreciate your time, and I hope that you learned things from this, and I hope to improve on my webinars as I go on, and I hope to see you on an upcoming webinar. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.